All right, now we are going to start setting our tool offsets inside of our Path Pilot on our Tormach 770. A couple of things that you're going to need your tool setter. You're going to need the small pin that comes in the box with your tool setter. You're going to need a 1-inch gauge block. You're going to need your 1.5-inch face mill. And you're also going to need your Hamir dial indicator. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our tool setter is properly zeroed out. So we're going to take our pin, and on the back side of our indicator we've got this ground spot. So I'm going to push down on the back of this, and what you'll see is that the needle should be lined up with the 0 on the front end. Once we have that set up, what we want to do is we want to put our 1-inch gauge block on top of our tool setter. Make sure that it is all the way on top of the part here that moves. Make sure that it is not overlapping, otherwise you'll be breaking things. What we want to do is we want to line up the top of our gauge block with the underneath of our spindle right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down my Z and I'll turn the spindle or the tool setter so that we are right underneath, because I want this flat end right here. I don't want to be going off of that. And on Path Pilot, we want to make sure that we are using tool 0. Tool 0 is just going to be to the spindle. We don't have anything in there. So I'm going to be bringing down my Z nice and slow, ensuring that my gauge block underneath there is going to be centered in there. So that's one time around. Here comes the second time around, and when I get to that 0, once I have that there, I'm zeroed out on my dial indicator. I'm going to come on over here, and we are not going to zero out in the Z. What we're going to do is we are going to tap on the Z, and on our keyboard we're going to type in 1 inch, because we are exactly 1 inch on top of our tool setter. So then what we can do is we can bring up our part, and we can load in our Hamir. So once our Hamir is loaded up on our tools table, this is actually tool 99, so I'm going to change that from tool 0 to tool 99. And on our tools table, it's actually called up as our mill probe. So what we want to do now is we want to find what the distance is from the bottom of our spindle to the back side of our ground surface right there. So what we'll do is I'm going to move that Hamir indicator on the back there. Just slow it down a little bit. So now that that's set at 0, what I can do is I can come back to Path Pilot, and right here what I want to do is I want to touch Z. So the last time I did this, I was 14/10 off. So I'm going to touch Z, and now I've updated the length of that so that now we have the distance of right here calibrated for our Hamir. So when we're done doing this, we'll bring it up on the Z, and we'll change out to tool 1. Now that we have tool 1 inserted in the mill, we're able to come back to Path Pilot, and we're going to change it from our Hamir, our mill probe, to tool 1. And we are going to do the exact same process, but instead of bringing to this hard surface on the back here, we're going to bring the mill bit down to the movable part to be able to indicate off of there. So I'm going to bring down my tool, and when we are doing this, once you have all of your tools set, we'd be able to set up and touch off each of our tools this way. So I'm going to bring it down, and you want to be very careful with this first tool and make sure that it's absolutely centered on that top plate, because we don't want to break our tool setting indicator, and we don't want to break off any carbides or anything like that. So there's the first time around. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. And that's set right there. So what we can do then is we will touch off our Z right there. And what I'm going to do is I'll bring this up now. And if we want to store this tool in our automatic tool changer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the ATC button right there, and we'll store that current tool. But before we can do that, there's a safety switch that we need to have the doors locked before we can rotate that spindle. So we'll hit store current tool. And now we can see that tool one is inserted in our automatic tool changer there. So when you're loading up your tool changer with all of your different tools, what you want to do first is you find your 0, make sure that you have your hammer in there as well. You bring in all of your work offsets and you update, or sorry, not your work offsets, your tool offsets, and you update your tool length offsets, and then you place all of your different tools into our automatic tool changer.